Hello everyone, happy holidays and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about the jail phone calls that I'm up to about the 9th of November, and I just wanted to share some quick thoughts about the phone calls so far. And after researching the jail logs for about the past year and a half, we're getting a lot of information, we're getting a lot of insight into Charlie's character, into Donna's character, and we're all on this crazy roller coaster together. I also wanted to mention that the theme of this roller coaster is very interesting in Donna's quote from 11/8/23, and I just thought how profound it is that she got arrested that same week and they are totally in this together, and we're on that roller coaster too, wanting to see more justice for the Markels. So let me go over some of my feelings right now. Hello everybody, and welcome to my thoughts about the jail phone calls from Charlie's conviction to Donna's arrest, and I'm right smack dab in the middle of listening to the calls, and I've heard that there's maybe about 7 more hours that we've got to get through. So I just wanted to share my thoughts right now so that I can go ahead and finish listening to the rest. And I wanted to give a shout out to those people who are posting them. Thank you for your time and effort. I am listening on Mentor Lawyer's channel because he's going in order from start to finish, and I'm looking at this very linear. So these notes were from about the 9th of November, and I just kind of grabbed a bunch of quotes that stuck out to me because also in my last video I was looking for code, and I know that's kind of a reach, but I've noticed definitely some patterns and hints of the way that the Adelson'S talk. So, that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I call code. So anyway, notice when Charlie said I believe he was talking to Bree when he was talking about giving away his clothes and that they would go in boxes. And I was thinking, what about Dan Markel? All of his clothes had to be given away, and Dan Markel is buried in the ground. Charlie has his life. He's alive. Dan Markel's clothes can no longer be worn. Neither can Charlie's. But Charlie belly aching over all these ridiculous things of his toys and his clothes is just so ridiculous to me. Anyway, I noticed a lot of Charlie's friends that he calls from jail are yes people. And a lot of the people that have worked for Charlie are people who can do things for him. A lot of the people that he dates seems like people who are good for him, like a psychologist or a nanny or, his lawyers and accountants. And those are the only people picking up the phone. Also, I noticed some of the people might be realtors. So these are people who take care of his things, like the boat guy. And these are yes people who he surrounds himself with. Also, when Charlie's talking about jury selection, it's like, make sure they know none of the evidence in this case. Make sure they, God forbid, if they've heard a podcast about the evidence in this case, which he calls all of the evidence surrounding Wendy, S-H-I-T, if you listen closely. My mom brought up a really good point. This is just a sidebar about Wendy and the boys. My mom noticed that Wendy named her child Lincoln, and if you listen in the Over My Dead Body podcast, when they made fun of Robert for being so honest that he would return change if he received too much change at the store, and they called him, I believe they had a nickname for him, like Honest Abe. And for Wendy to name her boy Lincoln, I just thought that was really interesting. That probably had more to do with Dan Markel than any of the Adelson'S. So I'm just going to go on to some of the things, the quotes that jumped out at me. Charlie talks in this third person as though he's mocking the evidence against him and talking about, in reference to Wendy, he says, "Your mommy says you're a good actress." I laughed out loud when he talks about how many addresses are there in Tallahassee, how many addresses, and talking about Georgia Kaplan's awesome closing statement and saying of all the addresses, she has to pull up to that one address in Tallahassee And then talking about how the former mailman probably just talked to the jury about the likelihood of that. It's 1 in a million. I believe Donna said to Charlie, you were on trial. She wasn't. Talking about Wendy, throwing some shade at Wendy. And then Charlie says, if she was a part of it, then I had to be a part of it. And he's always talking in third person as though he's the jury, trying to get inside their minds. And he says, she was there. And then Donna goes on to talk about Officer Mack, and we can see where this hatred comes from towards Officer Mack. She said, nobody came today, which I'm pissed about, to your cell. And she just cannot stand Officer Mack, and we saw that in her case management hearing. And then they go on to talk about how Charlie never treated himself to anything in life. And she said, you never treated yourself. I guess Charlie never treated himself with all the cars and 2 homes and boats and vacations. He's just so mad that he didn't buy that first class ticket to Japan that he was talking to his mother about. And then Donna made a little slip where she said there are opportunities we got to follow through with them. She was going to say options, and then she switched it to opportunities. We have to follow through with them. And they're looking for loopholes in the trial and being careful how they're talking on these recorded lines, of course. And then Charlie says something silly. He says, I shouldn't have smoked so much weed and thought I could get 12 meaning jurors. Oh my gosh, the thing that honestly broke my heart was when he was cussing on the phone with Roman. He says, we're going to do some SHIT. And I know my video about the code was kind of a reach, but when I say SHIT is code for Wendy's evidence, I believe this is in the forefront of Charlie's mind, that he knows he's going to have to tell Roman all of this someday. So he says, we're going to do some SHIT. He's got a lot of explaining to do to Roman. Anyway, I noticed that he admitted that he was talking carefully on the phone lines. Also, something really interesting. I know that I had said repairman was code for the fixer of the problem, was code for the hitman. Now I'm kind of seeing them sprinkle in repairman as like code for maybe other lawyers that they're working with. And Charlie says about his love for Katherine Magbanua, he says, it's a love like I have for repairman who's fixing a toilet for me. So when he's trying to explain away that evidence of the text, he loves her like a repairman. And gosh, isn't it interesting that I can kind of see that they use that repairman as like the repairman that was fixing Wendy's broken television that day. I see some patterns here with the word repairman. I also saw some more code with like winning the lottery or 1 in a million equals getting away with it. Like they knew how difficult this would be to get away with it. And then every time Charlie says to his mother, you know what I mean, it's like he's trying to make sure she understands his code talk or his very vague talk. 1 in a million, like I said before, means either flee or getting away with it. Like they don't have a chance, so she better flee. And then also Charlie talks about the cash at his house. He calls it stuff. He says, make sure you have that stuff for Roman. I'm thinking the stuff is hidden cash that he has that Wendy's going to take care of. And then the drive-by, of course, is the nail in the coffin. He says he knows who his real friends are. Of course, Charlie, they're the people that you pay to help you. Your realtors, your lawyers, your psychologist friends. Those are your real friends. Anyway, another thing I think is so hilarious that Charlie refers to Wendy as super fishy. The drive-by is super fishy, and he's cussing up a storm about it. And he's just so pissed. And let's just see how this cookie crumbles, everyone. And let's pray for justice for the Markels and for Dan this holiday season and into the new year. And more convictions, more arrests to come. Thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful holiday. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and liking and subscribing. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, spending time with their family, and having a great Christmas and holiday and Hanukkah and New Year's and Kwanzaa, and I hope everyone is enjoying time off of work. I'll be working the next 8 days straight so that my coworkers can enjoy their holiday with their family and friends, and I'll be enjoying my holiday with some of my family and friends as well. And I hope everyone is just working and listening to this and praying for justice for Dan and the Markel boys and the Markel family. And more arrests to come. Thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.